Morning, it's lovely to be with you. Over the past weeks, we've been stepping through James and thinking about what he has to say about being a believer. And today we've reached a part of his letter where he talks about putting faith into action. And I want to think about that by first thinking about light, especially since we've just come through the week which has the longest hours of darkness per day. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to the daylight hours getting more and more, because I find that it lifts my spirits and gives me more of a sense of well-being. The Apostle John described Jesus as the light of life, who shines his light in the darkness. And the darkness has never put it out. And he came to this world to give his light of life to everybody. Jesus said while he was on earth, if you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you choose to live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a dank cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have. So when you choose to accept and believe in the light of life, he fills you up and you become his light in the world. Jesus also said, a city on a hill can't be hidden. And who would light a lamp and then cover it? In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Echoing his brother's words, James challenged fellow believers by saying, what good is it, dear friends, to say you believe and learn the right words to say, but don't do anything? As a Hebrew, he would have grown up with the Hebrew word for faith as being the same word as for faithfulness. In other words, your actions reflect what you actually believe and show in whom and what you truly put your faith. A man once asked Jesus what was God's most important command so that for living a right and faithful life. And Jesus replied, love God with every passion of your heart, with all the energy of your being, with every thought that is within you, and all your strength. And love others as you love yourself. You know, I've always thought that Jesus was putting two things in that question about what was the best, what was the first. But now I realise that being the light of life and us accepting the light of life in us includes the love of God and the love of others. They're two parts of the one light. If you don't have the love of others along with your faith in love in God, of God, you can't shine. On one occasion, Jesus was with his disciples and he asked them who people believed he was. There were a range of answers. And then he asked them who they believed he was. Peter said, you are the Son of God. Well, James is writing his letter to everyone who believes that Jesus is the Son of God, that he suffered terribly on the cross because of his love for his Father and for all humanity, that he died, but because he didn't stay dead, his suffering love overcame evil and all its consequences. Jesus showed by his actions what faith and faithfulness is all about. It's about believing in and using the power of God's love and grace to bring his light of life into the ordinary, everyday nitty-gritty of what we think, say and do, and making sure that these things line up with what Jesus taught his followers to live. It simply isn't enough to believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Peter, who affirmed Jesus as the Son of God, later went on to deny he even knew him, not once, but 3 times. Later, after Jesus came back to life, he took him aside and had a little chat with Peter. "Do you love me more than these, your close friends, what you do for a living?" Peter replied, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." "Then look after those who hear my voice and who belong to me." Jesus asked that question of Peter 3 times, and by the third, Peter was feeling quite hurt and upset. And he said, "Lord, you know all things. You know I love you." And so then Jesus said, "Look after those I love." Through that process of questioning and reaffirming, Jesus brought Peter back to wholeness, where his faith and his actions matched up, and the light of life shone into him and through him. Every believer at some time lets Jesus down when actions don't match love for him and for others. Each time that happens, the Spirit that Jesus has given us will ask you, "Do you love me?" Then care for those I love and follow my teaching. Faith is love in action. It is patient, kind, doesn't want what it doesn't have, isn't boastful or proud, rude or self-seeking, doesn't fly off the handle in irritation or keep a record of wrongs. It doesn't delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. If your actions focus on yourself and not on God and being his hands and feet and voice in the world, then your faith means nothing. It is dead. Jesus said, "Take my words and work them into your life." Ask yourself what you want people to do for you. Then grab the initiative and do it for them. Putting your faith into action, it can be hard, and it can come at a personal cost. But James says, when your faith is tested and you persevere, you will become mature and complete, well developed, not lacking anything. So can I encourage you to open your eyes wide in wonder and belief and shine. Be the light of Jesus and ask the Holy Spirit to help you so that you can work the love of God and of others into your life. We're now going to go into a time for discussing a question that over a 5-minute period, breaking into small groups to do it. Some of you will be in a micro-church situation and you can just discuss it together. If you're on Zoom, you can go to a breakout room. If you're on YouTube and you're with others, feel free to discuss the question. If you're on your own, then take the time to quietly reflect on it. Here's the question. What sort of things could you or your church do to put your faith into action? And before we go in to our little groups, here's a couple of thought starters for you. What do you say or do when you are annoyed? When someone's giving you a hard time? When you see someone in need and you know that you have something that can help them in their need? When you feel the urge to bring someone down a peg or two? When someone has something that you like and admire, but you don't have it? When someone has offended you? And when they do something you think they should have done differently, and you're sure that you're in the right and they're in the wrong, what sort of things could you or your church do to put your faith into action?